Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2023 NFL Draft winners for the 2023 fantasy football season. Inside today's video, I'm going to be going in depth into 5 different players who I believe their fantasy football stock has increased greatly following the NFL draft. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, then please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5 NFL draft winners for the 2023 fantasy football season. We begin at number 1 with Dameon Pierce, running back of the Houston Texans, current underdog ADP, running back number 21 off the board at pick 63.4. Now, a big worry of mine in early best ball fantasy football drafts prior to the NFL draft was that I thought the Houston Texans might just draft another running back. Now, I know they brought in Devin Singletary. Dameon Pierce had a great rookie season, but you never really know. It's not like Dameon Pierce was a first-round draft pick or something, so the team could have easily thrown someone else in there, given the offense a shake, and basically completely devalued Dameon Pierce. But the team does not elect to do that. And when I say draft a running back, I didn't think they were going to draft Bijan Robinson or something like that. But I thought that maybe in the 3rd, the 4th round, 5th round of the draft, maybe they go ahead and get one of those other running backs, and that would have really hurt Dameon Pierce's value, but obviously they don't end up doing that. And now Dameon Pierce's only real competition in the backfield is Devin Singletary. And while I have been a Devin Singletary truther in the past, Devin Singletary is significantly worse, in my opinion, than Dameon Pierce, so I don't think Dameon Pierce should struggle at all in fending Devin Singletary off to be the RB1 on the team. The team also drafted CJ Stroud, another scenario where there are levels to this thing. It's not like Davis Mills was the worst quarterback on earth, but CJ Stroud, people were talking about him potentially being the number 1 overall pick a couple of months ago. So CJ Stroud is clearly very talented. He's significantly better than Davis Mills, and this offense should be much better under CJ Stroud compared to Davis Mills. Now, I don't think this is magically going to become the best fucking offense in the National Football League. That would be crazy, but I do think CJ Stroud can take this offense to a whole nother level. And like I said just a couple of seconds ago, Dameon Pierce in his rookie year was really solid. Running back 27.5 PPR, playing in 13 games, tied with Tyler Algier, and he was the RB 23.5 PPR points per game, having 220 carries, 16.9 per game, 13th at running back, 939 rushing yards, 72.2 per game, 16th, 39 targets, 3.0 per game, 30th, 30 receptions, 2.3 per game, 27th, 165 receiving yards, 12.7 per game, 42nd, and 5 total touchdowns, 31st. Now, Dameon Pierce is certainly no Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, one of these really great pass-catching running backs, but neither is Devin Singletary, so we shouldn't be surprised at all if Dameon Pierce catches 40 or 50 balls in 2023 from CJ Stroud. And again, I really do think the fact that they didn't draft a running back gives me supreme confidence that Dameon Pierce is a smash pick at RB21. Some interesting stats. Now, it's not like the offensive line in Houston is significantly better this year, but you have to think it's got to be better than last year, right? Because Dameon Pierce had a 35.9 run blocking rating from the offensive line, 63rd at running back, despite the offensive line being a complete and utter disaster. The man still had 718 yards created, 55.2 per game, 15th, and 68 evaded tackles, 5.2 per game, number 11. So again, I really do believe the fact that they brought in CJ Stroud, the fact that they didn't bring in any competition at running back, Dameon Pierce has all of the upside to smash in 2023. At number 2, we move to Jordan Addison, wide receiver of the Minnesota Vikings. Current underdog ADP, wide receiver 43 at pick 90.0. If you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy and want to do some fantasy football drafts prior to late August or early September, when you do your redraft fantasy football drafts, make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. Link in the video description. If you click on my link, you'll get a $100 first match deposit bonus So if you deposit $100, they'll give you an additional $100. If you deposit $50, you get an additional $50. They have a brand new tournament, Best Ball Mania 4, the biggest best ball tournament ever. Make sure you check it out. Link in the video description if you are new. I plan there all the time. It is very fun. We're going to be doing some videos on there coming up shortly. So Jordan Addison gets drafted to the Minnesota Vikings, which is an excellent landing spot for him because a lot of the other wide receivers in the first round, every other receiver in the first round got drafted into a situation where more than likely to start off the season, they are the wide receiver number 3 on the team. And for some of them, such as Jackson Smith-Njigba, who in my opinion is the best wide receiver in this draft class, he's trapped behind DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Adam Thielen is gone in Carolina. KJ Osborne isn't all that great. So I think Addison is going to slot in ahead of KJ Osborne as the wide receiver number 2 in the offense. He also has first round draft capital. He's not the biggest guy. He's 5'11", 173 pounds. But I think with how good the Vikings offense looked last year, this is a tremendous landing spot for Addison. And again, in terms of talking for year 1, we're not talking about dynasty, right? A couple years down the line, when Tyler Lockett's gone, JSN will probably be the best wide receiver in this draft class. But in year number 1, in his rookie year, I think Jordan Addison will be the rookie wide receiver number 1. 11 games played in 2022 at USC at just 20 years old. He had 49 receptions on 84 targets, 875 receiving yards, 14.8 yards per reception, 8 receiving touchdowns, a 16.3% target share in that USC offense, and a 70.2% catch rate. Now, I know if you want to go ahead and just be like, Jordan Addison's the next Adam Thielen, then you are discrediting Jordan Addison because Adam Thielen, or at least if you're thinking that he's going to be what Adam Thielen was last year, because Adam Thielen was not very good in 2022. If you think he's like Adam Thielen in the past, then you're going to be in for a great wide receiver pick. Again, wide receiver number 43 for the number 2 wide receiver on an offense that's probably going to lose Dalvin Cook, that is looked to be significantly more pass heavy. I know, the new nightmare, Kirk Cousins. It's hard to say, oh, I love Kirk Cousins, and I won't even say that, but Kirk Cousins isn't some absolute fucking garbage can quarterback. He's good enough for Jordan Addison to be very successful in his rookie year in 2023. Thus why I believe he is a big NFL draft winner. At number 3, we've kind of talked about JSN a little bit. We got his quarterback, Geno Smith, quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, current underdog ADP, quarterback number 16 to pick 112.8. The Seahawks drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba in the first round, giving Geno an even more loaded core of weapons. DK Metcalf, you can make the argument maybe he won't be a top 12 fantasy wide receiver, but if you're looking at a list of wide receivers in the NFL, it is hard to place DK Metcalf outside the top 12. And then you have Tyler Lockett. Again, Tyler Lockett isn't this top 12 wide receiver in the NFL anymore, but he is very dangerous, very good. And then you have JSN, who is supposed to be the best wide receiver in this draft class. Now you have probably the best trio of wide receivers in the National Football League. Now, Kenneth Walker's value, we're going to talk about him tomorrow in the NFL Draft Losers video. Spoiler alert. But he's also great at catching passes. They also have Noah Fant. Now, I know Noah Fant didn't have a great year, but Geno Smith has all the weapons at his disposal. I was personally someone that worried a little bit about Geno Smith going into 2023 because he was on fire in 2022, right? The guy was a disaster at the NFL level, and magically last year, the guy was revived. He had an excellent season. He was quarterback 5 on the season, quarterback 11 in points per game. Now going as quarterback 16 with an even better weapons core. That doesn't make sense. 17 games played in 2022, 572 passing attempts, 33.6 per game, 9 at quarterback, 399 completions, 24.93 per game, 6th, 4,282 passing yards, 251.9 per game, 8th, 30 passing touchdowns at a 5.2% rate, 4th at quarterback. Now, the passing touchdown rate is very important to me because if a quarterback throws a 7% or a 9% passing touchdown rate, obviously 9% very unlikely, when you go past that 5% number by a lot, it's very likely that you can't repeat that. You're not going to back-to-back seasons throw 6.9% passing touchdown rate, but 5.2% is very repeatable. So if he threw 32 touchdowns in 2023, I don't think anyone should be remotely shocked, right? And I doubt he's going to dip to like 23 passing touchdowns. He had 11 interceptions, not the best, 10th at quarterback. Something about Geno that a lot of people forget, sneaky good at rushing, 68 carries, 8th at quarterback, 366 rushing yards, 8th and 1 rushing touchdown, 20th. He's not Kyler, he's not Lamar, not Justin Fields, not Anthony Richardson. I'm not claiming he is. I'm just saying that he has some rushing value. He's like Dak. Like, if Dak chooses to run, he could run for 400 rushing yards a season and 4 touchdowns, right? Geno Smith could easily do that as well. In terms of some interesting efficiency stats that I pulled, 7.8 accuracy rating on Player Profiler, 11th at quarterback, and a 61.1 QBR, 6th at quarterback. So again, while I was definitely someone who shit on Geno Smith's chest last season, I was hoping my guy, horse cock Drew Lock, would play. Geno Smith absolutely stiff-armed me and basically everyone else who thought he wasn't going to be any good. Again, if I'm being completely honest with you, if I'm keeping it 100, I thought that Geno might blow up in a bad way in 2023, right? He might go negative. He might play significantly worse because maybe that was all he had, right? He just came out of nowhere. Everyone wrote him off and he didn't write back like he said. And then 2023, it all comes flaming out. But the addition of JSN really does change my mind because now even if one of Lockett or Metcalf gets hurt, knock on wood, we do not root for injuries, he still has an amazing wide receiver core. Again, I don't think Noah Fant really that amazing, but he also has Noah Fant, right? So he has a lot of weapons to his disposal, and I think the NFL draft, the fact that they drafted JSN really changed my mind on Geno Smith, and I think he's an immense value at quarterback, 16 at pick 112.8. If you guys have ended up enjoying thus far, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that like button. Helps me out a ton. At number 4, the 4th draft winner, we got Isiah Pacheco, running back of the Kansas City Chiefs, underdog ADP running back 22 at pick 69. Very nice. I like my wife, right? 69.1, but, you know, had to do a nice Borat voice. I haven't done the Borat voice in a little bit, so it was a little bad, I will admit. The Chiefs did not draft a running back. Isiah Pacheco, much alike Dameon Pierce, we talked at numero uno, I thought they might bring in another running back, right? Clyde Edwards-Helaire flinged out. The guy was awful. He's still on the team, though. They still have CH and LaMichael P. Ryan. They could bring back Jerick McKinnon, but who knows about that, right? And even if McKinnon's back, the fact that they didn't select another running back in the draft tells me that they believe in what they saw out of Isiah Pacheco in 2022. Now, if you look at his stats, just head on, they're not like fantastic, right? He was the RB 35 in half PPR last season, tied with Donta Foreman, and RB 46 in points per game, half PPR, tied with Foreman as well. 17 games played, 11 starts in 2022, his rookie year out of Rutgers. He had 170 carries, 10 per game, 33rd at running back. 830 rushing yards, 48.8 per game, 24th, 14 targets, 0.8 per game, 69th at running back, wink, wink, very nice. 13 receptions, 0.8 per game, 64th, 130 receiving yards, 7.6 per game, 50th, and 5 total touchdowns, 31st. Isiah Pacheco doesn't necessarily profile as an amazing pass-catching back, but again, if they get rid of Jerick McKinnon, unless you got CH doing that, like, you got to think the targets increase for Pacheco. Pacheco is on one of the best, if not the best, offense in the National Football League, and he's coming off the board as the RB22. The Chiefs don't really have that loaded of a wide receiver core. Obviously, they have the best tight end in the NFL. They have the best quarterback as well, but I think this could really be the best we see out of Pacheco. I really do. I think his upside is top 12 back with how good the Chiefs are. And again, while his stats don't scream elite running back, this guy that could finish top 12, the guy was he had 4.8 true yards per carry, 10th at running back, 5.2 yards per touch, 16th at running back. So the guy clearly has the skill set to do it. And I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be top 12. I'm not going to rank him inside my top 12 come August, right? But does he have that ceiling to become that? Yes. Yes, he does. And again, when CH and LaMichael fucking P. Ryan are your competitions, things are looking on the up and up for Mr. Pacheco. Final player to discuss here at number 5, we got another rookie, Anthony Richardson, quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. Underdog ADP quarterback, 17, pick 115.1. Now, I was someone who is kind of iffy on Anthony Richardson's skill set. How good of a passer could Anthony Richardson be when he wasn't the greatest at Florida? And another question I had was who was going to draft Anthony Richardson? Because going into the draft, I think it was pretty up in the air, right? Richardson might not even be a top 5 pick, right? Maybe he falls. Maybe the Falcons go ahead and get him. Maybe someone trades up to get him. Maybe he just goes to the Texans. Maybe the Texans don't love Stroud. They're worried about the in-between-the-ear stuff. They're worried about maybe this guy's a little bit of an idiot, right? Because he did bad on the test. But who gives a shit about that? Because what happened was he went to the Indianapolis Colts, which I believe to be a very solid landing spot for Richardson. While we saw Matt Ryan struggle last season, I think we can see Richardson unlocked in year number 1 under Shane Steichen, who had Jalen Hurts playing amazing last year in Philly. Gardner Minshew also on the team. But I wouldn't be shocked if week numero uno, game number 1, if Richardson's under center as the starter. And I think worst case scenario, 3 games of Gardner Minshew. Now, obviously, if we enter August, early September, and we're seeing, hey, Anthony Richardson not going to play week 1, then obviously you got to pump the brakes. You pump the brakes in redraft in a 1 quarterback league, because how do you want to draft a guy that's not going to play week number 1? I think that's crazy. But I also think he's probably going to play number 1. And in a super flex league, he's obviously must draft because you got to assume Gardner's not playing all year. And that rushing upside is just so elite. It's so important in fantasy. We saw it last year with Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, all these guys, Lamar in the past, obviously, as well. 12 games played in 2022 at Florida, 327 passing attempts, 2,549 passing yards, 7.8 yards per attempt, 17 passing touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 654 rushing yards. Something that was glaring when looking at this man's profile on Player Profiler was that he ranks first out of all quarterbacks charted all time for athleticism. This man is a freak athlete with top 3 ceiling due to his rushing upside. I don't need this guy to come out and fucking slice and dice a defense like Mahomes or like Aaron Rodgers or something, right? All I need is that rushing upside. I think that with Alec Pierce, with Michael Pittman, it's not like he has the worst receiving corp out there. Jonathan Taylor on his side, the offensive line should get healthy, should be better. I'm feeling like Anthony Richardson might be must draft in fantasy football come August, especially if he's the starter in week number 1. So thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a great time. Let me know in the comment section. Maybe I didn't talk about a player that you thought was a winner. Nick, where the fuck's Ramondre Stevenson? Ramondre Stevenson also a draft winner. I just thought it was more important to talk about some of these other players. So let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to talk to you guys down there. I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great guys' day. And as always, good boy.